What's up, everyone? VRR Unplugged, VRR's official podcast, episode 4. And oh boy, what a weekend. So if there's one thing, we're going to start off immediately with this one thing. Don't make hot takes, no matter what it is that you're doing. Because, open mouth, insert foot. For those that missed last week's podcast, I made a bet that Scott Dixon would not win an IndyCar race this year. What does he do? Well, he goes out and wins race 1, and I think finished top. I think he finished top 5 in the second one too today. So he was on it. I think he was on it all day today.
Fifth, yeah.
Yeah, he was on it. Ed Jones finished third too. So everything I said about Ganassi and Dixon was wrong. And I made a wager that if I was wrong, I had to eat an entire bag, a large bag, of Pocky's Haunted Ghost Pepper Chips. This is the company that made the one chip challenge. To put things in perspective. Same company. Right. Same exact company. So if I curse, there will be if I curse for whatever reason today, and chances are I'm going to, there will be a not safe for work labeling to this.
So
because I like
do all nuts and foots and shits and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I start cursing, then it's going to be a not safe for work labeling. Like I try to like keep myself from doing a lot of cursing, but I've had these chips before. I've never finished a bag, and I have to complete a bag within this podcast.
Whew, lad, we got Tyler Parker coming in.
And Tyler is coming in. So we had Weasel and RACECAR who've been with us since the start, and Tyler finally joins us just on time too, because we just started recording.
Yeah.
Cast, he's for IndyCar.
Yep, that's true. I try to do my best to keep up with Clayton and Nass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, as I was explaining to everyone that's going to end up being listening to this, I made a bet on Scott Dixon not winning this year, and he won race 1 in Detroit yesterday. So, the crow I'm eating is quite spicy today.
And it's a pretty steady diet at Crow since Indianapolis, too, because on the podcast leading into the Indy 500, you had also mentioned how among the Fast 9 in qualifying, Will Power, the eventual winner, was the one dude you did not expect to have a snowball's chance in hell of winning.
Yeah.
I didn't want to point that out, but I just feel that also is that this is not new.
But see, here's the thing.
We need to work on your shot calling there, Clayton.
My shot calling was great in Indianapolis. Shot calling was great up until like lap 120.
And it did.
Once 120 hit, it was downhill. And so I made this bet thinking, okay, you know what? I'm expecting at Texas. Maybe he's gonna tease it out, and he's gonna win Sonoma, and I'm gonna have to do it at the end of the season. No, right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. And as soon as I saw the qualifying results for race 1, I'm just like, I am so screwed. Oh, I'm so screwed. I genuinely thought he was going to double down and just win today. Oh,
I didn't think he did, but again, we got a lot to talk about this weekend. We got the duel in Detroit. We got IMSA on Saturday.
And next weekend's going to be fun because we're going to have F1 talk about.
F1 in Canada and the IndyCar race on Saturday night at Texas.
So it'll be a good week.
Too, with people from McLaren talking around, Mr. Zach Brown, the head of McLaren's F1 development program in Detroit, doing meetings. Don't want to hijack your thing here, but shall we get started? What do you want to talk about first?
I've already started eating. Okay, we'll start with the paddock news first, because that came before Detroit. For IndyCar. Scuderia Corsa announced that they were looking for a full-time entry in 2019 in IndyCar.
And committed to do the Indy 500 on top of that, if they couldn't do it full-time. They're guaranteed
at least Indy.
Yes.
And the mic's in the way of my milk. This is going to be fantastic. So Scuderia Corsa said they want to do the full season. which we thought was stupid because we thought they're not going to do that. They're going to wait and see what the third supplier was and then anchor onto that without risking anything. No, they're going in anchors deep and seeing what sticks, which is interesting given what we talked about. It's interesting given what we talked about last week with the Chevrolet entries, Dre and Reinbold, Harding and
Juncos.
Juncos looked like crap today. Well, looked like crap this weekend.
It's Rene Bender. Things happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, Juncos is looking for a full-time car, and they might as well get it. Harding's already got one. They want to. Dre and Reinbold wants at least one. That leaves them 12 as one. If that all happens, they've got one Chevrolet entry, and Shank could go over there. McLaren seems pretty set on Honda. They met with Andretti and Rahal. I guess they met with both. We have no idea what they talked about, but there was a bigger entourage. There was 10, 15 people from McLaren at Detroit.
Yeah.
Why it was happening at Detroit and not Mid-Ohio, because that's Honda's home race in IndyCar, is beyond me.
But it's right after Indy. It's a public event. It's kind of pressure on them because Detroit's kind of weekend. And generally, I think it's a case on McLaren's side to want to get the talks out of the way up front right now, rather than wait until maybe July, early August to get.
That's true, because they want to talk to Fernando about next year starting.
That's the second part of the puzzle for them. Andretti is in the running because they're considered the lead Honda team. I know Rahal's in the running because they were initially the first team that got asked. This is where
things get interesting.
Rahal is friend with Zach Brown, but go ahead.
I've already had to resort to the milk twice. We're in trouble. Well, I'm in trouble. Okay. Another issue that we're bringing up is we talked about last week how there was Lando Norris, who's dominating from the 2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people there's beginning to be whispering that Van Dorn might be on his way out. The whispers are starting to pick up. So the paddock whispers in F1 are starting to pick up that Van Dorn might not be sticking around.
I could see that. I'd hate it to see that, but I'd hate it too. Happening. I can understand that happening. He's had bad luck, and he's not been able to wring performance out of the car like Fernando. But I think it's an unfair comparison.
Well,
but Nando, and
the thing a young driver that needs is consistency, and let's look at the consistency he's had. He's had a Honda engine and McLaren descent for his first real campaign, and then this year he's had a Renault engine, and again more McLaren tomfoolery going on behind the scenes, although it's a little bit more structured tomfoolery from McLaren now. The kids had no consistency behind, and you're not going to succeed in F1, especially if you don't have some sort of consistent package year in and year out.
It happens though in F1. People saw that happen with Kevin Magnussen when he got dropped initially by McLaren after his rookie year and kind of was running around for a little bit before he got settled in at Haas now.
Well, the other thing too is I think McLaren's realizing that their grip on F1 as a powerhouse is slipping, and I don't think McLaren's really keeping up with the times in F1 as far as making sure that they have a top tier product. And honestly, I would think growing the McLaren brand in the United States, might there be some Liberty Media push for that too? I don't know.
Liberty Media is not going to push. Liberty Media is not going to push because if Liberty Media were pushing for McLaren, they'd be pushing for IMSA participation, not IndyCar, because IndyCar is undoubtedly Formula One's biggest competition within the open wheel category.
In the States, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not just in the States, but internationally. They're growing internationally, just at a slower rate. And people are starting to notice it. That's like Indianapolis 500 coverage this year was down. We didn't talk about that because they weren't out last week. But it was 3.4 rating in the United States. But there was a 21% increase internationally as far as viewership went for the Indianapolis 500. So international presence for IndyCar has increased.
Yeah, it has.
And I'm having to say this quickly in between drinks because, oh my God, I've had 3 chips and I'm already dying.
We got some there.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so IndyCar is becoming a bigger presence internationally, and Liberty Media is not going to want to mess around with that.
No.
So this isn't Liberty Media has nothing to do with this. This is McLaren saying we want to be everywhere, we want to be doing everything, and that's Zach Brown.
That's straight up.
That's how he does.
His strategy. Yeah, he wants.
Ron
to
Dennis doesn't do that.
No, he never did that.
No,
I mean Dennis with the McLaren F1 road car, he had to be convinced by like 6 or 7 different people went to him and said, "We will pay you to make this car," and he said, "Okay, finally." That's why we relented.
Also, you might want to turn up your mic a little bit if you can, because you're a little bit quiet compared to everyone else.
I'll do what I can. I'm on my phone, actually.
I kind of figured.
How's that? Okay, so sorry about that, guys.
So anyway, with McLaren, they're working with Andretti or Rahal. They're sticking with Honda.
Mm-hmm.
So chances are they're going to get that seat. It's going to either be Stoffel or Alonso. So the only chance Corsa's got or Shank's got is by going to Chevrolet.
Yeah,
Shank seems to be more likely.
Yes,
they've got the car, they've got the chassis, they've got the aero kits,
and they've got the money to make the switch.
Got the money now because of SiriusXM.
Yeah,
so they can do it. Scuderia or Corsa, they've got the money, but the team seems to be smarter than that. They seem to be running the Harding route, so they're not going to jump in guns a-blazing yet.
Yeah. Harding jumped in guns a-blazing because they raced what they bought, so they went and bought it, and they did that. So,
well, I wouldn't call what Harding did last year guns a-blazing because they only did 3 races, and they did that because they had confidence in Chavez being able to get the car to the end of the races, which he did. So they didn't have to pay for chassis and all that stuff. I feel like if Corsa is going to do that, they've got the right guy in Servia to do that because he's a consistent guy.
And he's friends with the owner and a bunch of other things outside of his performance in the car, too.
Yeah, so Corsa could easily do that next year. So if they don't get an engine, then that's no big deal. And Juncos is either sink or swim right now. I think it's obvious that they are currently the worst team. Yeah, and it's not to be expected because this is their first year and they did nothing last year.
Yeah. But this is their first year. They've got 3-4 different drivers.
Yeah.
So it was always going to be a struggle.
Yeah. I was going to say this though: is Juncos actually the worst team on the grid? Because if you look at, they've had some bad luck, and they have Renee Bender. All right, and I think we can all agree that Renee Bender is not. He's there to fund the team.
He's fishing.
I don't rate Kaiser highly either. I
think Kyle Kaiser has a little bit more talent than Renee Bender does, and I think Kyle Kaiser has talent that we're not yet seeing because he's trying to learn this new car, and not being in the car each weekend doesn't help you at all. But at the same time, let's look at some other teams. Let's look at Carlin. Carlin should be performing better. They have a superior engine. They did
decent this week.
Yeah, they actually did pretty decent this week. Chilton, the first race, not so much, but the second race, Chilton got a top 10 in qualifying, and Kimball got a top 10 in the race.
Well, I was going to say, outside of Kimball and then Chilton kind of getting gifted stuff because Rossi's incident earlier today, Chilton really hasn't been up where he is, and Kimball's had some bad luck, but they've been consistently underperforming most of the season, in my opinion. For a team, yes, it's their first year, but with the veteran drivers that they have and the superior engine package that they should have, I've been pretty disappointed with Carlin right now.
I wouldn't know if I'd call Chilton a veteran driver.
No,
in the series.
I wouldn't say that Chevrolet's the superior engine package.
No, because they got their butts kicked this weekend.
Yeah, they were locked out of Belle Isle. Like they didn't get on the podium at all. Yesterday and today, they wouldn't have if it wasn't for Rossi blowing a tire.
Yeah,
because it would have been Power third.
Right. And
I wouldn't say that. Okay.
I was going to say on the street circuits, yeah, Chevy's not doing very well. But on
I
any
would say
other
road
course,
courses in general.
Yeah.
Have we seen a natural terrain road course outside of Barber where we can really make that decision though? I mean, Newgarden dominated that.
Yeah,
And I
but
think one of the Chevys did fairly well at Barber. But again, it's tough to tell because of that race. But
I think Road America will be a better picture for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming up pretty quick.
Now, it'll be interesting to see how Texas goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that later, because we talked about it before recording, me and Weasel did, what we thought that the race was going to look like next week. And Texas is next week. So we're getting 3 back-to-back weeks of IndyCar racing, 5 weeks total if you include qualifying in the Indy Grand Prix.
Yeah.
We're spoiled right now.
Yeah.
So going over, I didn't actually. I've forgotten so much about the first race. I remember how much it was strategy based because Marco had pole, and then Scott Dixon.
I can fill in. Yeah, Marco from the start until the first round of pit stops. The race actually went green. Yeah, Dixon went for the 3-stop. Marco went for the 2. Everybody basically started off on the reds, the soft compound tire right from the start because of the high heat, the ambient temperature. It made it so that you basically took the reds off. You had to take the reds off immediately to really gain position. But Dixon basically, they were able to get the strategy, the stops. They were able to get everything right there. He led over half the race regardless. 39 of the 70 laps, he led it.
And he really helped his crew when he had that fast out lap first that fast in lap. And then the crew got him out pretty quick.
That was the key too, yeah. Bold Ganassi stops in the first race for Dixon were around 8 seconds or under. Whereas Marco had a shot. I thought Marco had a pretty good shot all day, but his stops were in the 8s, and his last stop was over 9 seconds. And in IndyCar, if you're over 9 seconds and there's not a problem, you're gonna have a bad time. If your step's over 9 seconds, you're gonna have a bad time. But
yeah, and it's not like anything bad happened to him. It's just they did it better.
Yeah. Dixon's first stop was 7.8, and I think Marco's first stop was an 8.9. Yeah. I think that's what I remember. Mm-hmm. So, and that's essentially that's a football field. That's 100 yards. Yeah, actually probably more at Belle Isle because it's so different. And it was noticeable how much the gap was.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So the race basically was clean up until Graham Rahal lost it at around turn 12, clipped the inside barrier, clipped the inside curb, and just crossed up and swept into the wall on lap 47. It was the first caution of the day.
I've already drank half this mug of milk, and I've only had 7 chips. I am so screwed.
Man.
So, thanks, Scott Dixon. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have we ever figured out what happened with Graham's
car? I'm already sweating.
Oh God!
I watched the video this morning, and the apex to turn 12 right before the start finish line, second to last corner before the start finish, because that curb is really high. It's higher up than a lot of the angle on it is different from other curbs. I think he just went over a bump a little differently. He caught the curb. He kind of overcorrected, and because of how he wiggled and how it overcorrected, he just went on into the wall. I don't think it was any kind of mechanical issue.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
like that, it'll shoot you straight out to the wall.
Yeah,
you're straight out into it, and when you don't have your tires contacting, any pavement, you're just you don't have control. You can't correct, and out you go.
Yeah, that's the thing with Detroit. The bumps are so crazy. You're seeing in the slow motion cars getting front wheels up off the ground like it's 70s touring car racing all over again. And in certain places,
that's the type of racing.
Yeah.
That's the type of racing that we enjoy, though. We like seeing drivers fight it.
Yeah, that was the thing. These races, they didn't have a lot of first race didn't have a lot of great on-track seat because I was on the edge of my seat because I knew just how close anybody was to just losing it because you could see every onboard, the drivers are having the the hands are just shaking left and right, sawing on the wheel, trying to keep the car and just going in a straight line.
Yeah, just fight.
The concrete too helps as well. It does that as well.
In retrospect, race 2, I remember how I said earlier before we started recording, I thought race 1 was better. In retrospect, race 2 is better.
Yeah.
Hunter Ray and Rossi hunting each other down.
Yeah. Oh,
that was a good. Had Rossi not blown his tire, that would have been fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But at the end of the day, Scott Dixon getting the win, making Mr. Cameron Jackson suffer right now. Ryan Hunter Ray finished in second.
Hey, Mr. RACECAR's doing just fine right now.
My bad. I'm sorry.
RACECAR. Hey, RACECAR, if you want to join me in this.
Sorry, dude. I'm sorry. It's well, I mean, you're not going to handle on this thing's Cherokee, so I don't know.
Oh my god.
But Dixon got the win. Hunter Ray second. Alexander Rossi in third, about 4 seconds back. Marco Andretti ended up being like top of the next group in fourth.
Wait.
He had to fight off Takuma Sato for fifth. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I forgot Hunter Ray did. I forgot Hunter Ray finished second yesterday too.
Yeah.
He was good. He was good all weekend.
Yeah, he was good all weekend.
forgot.
He was close. He could have won yesterday, actually, if he had just a couple more laps. He got within 2 seconds of Dixon.
Yeah. And
he was
pretty much
coming off strong at the end.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Good all weekend. I mean, even Zach Veach was able to qualify high, and I think he had a 11th or 12th place finish.
12th in the first race, yeah.
Yeah.
12th in the first race.
He was up in the top 15, able to do what he needed to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, just had cars. I would call Zach Veach the top finished real rookie, because let's face it, Robert is classified as a rookie, but with his pedigree, he's clearly not a rookie.
No.
Basically.
No, I mean, you don't. It's one of those things. I mean, look, they put in perspective. Alex Zanardi was considered a rookie, was technically a rookie. That's kind of where Wickens is at right now, in my opinion. He's a rookie, but he's got the experience. He's different. He's different. He's just different. We'll just put it that way.
I would put him as a rookie for ovals only.
Yeah, and even then, he could have won Phoenix, but hey, that's how it goes.
Well, Phoenix is one oval, and then Indy was another oval, so it's a little trickier.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how he does with the high banks and the traffic at Texas, because we all remember last year's race.
Yeah.
So does anyone want to take up my bet and say that Wiggins isn't going to win a race this year?
Oh, hell no. That's stupid. That's way stupid. We're expecting him to win a race this year. It's going to be a bigger deal.
Oh, yeah.
What's on offer?
I'm just saying, if anyone wants to do my bet that I did with Dixon, if anyone wants to do that with Wiggins, feel free.
No
I'll
way.
do it. I'll do it.
Wow.
Trust.
Oh, Tyler, you brave man.
Down. Wow.
Oh, my God.
I think he needs to do it. I think he's going to win a race this year. I think Mid-Ohio suits him pretty well. I think Road America definitely suits him very, very well. He's yet to really come into the tracks that are really going to accentuate the talents that he has. And honestly, he's impressed on the street courses, considering, they really don't race on street courses a whole lot over there in Europe. So,
yeah,
I'm not going to make this
kind of different because you do have you've got horse ring, but not a whole lot. No.
I'm not going to make this a bet, but I think that if Wiggins is going to win a race this year, it's going to be Toronto.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a
because I'm not going to make that bet. I'm not going to make that bet because I've already lost one. I'm not losing another one.
Yeah, and you're feeling terrible right now, so why would you make that bet?
Technically, you've lost 2 of them.
Well,
okay, the other one wasn't a bet.
A gentleman's bet. This
was full on a wager, and I bid it hard.
Yeah. But okay.
nothing.
I'm already out of milk. Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Okay. But let's see. First race.
Time to break up.
I've made it 25 minutes into this recording,
and
I'm already out of milk.
Damn.
Man.
Oh,
I am sweating. I am a wreck right now. Okay, so we went over Detroit race 1.
Other notable
I'm going to
exceptions.
go and get a refill.
Okay.
For those that watched the IMSA race, go ahead and cover that. I'll let you know when I'm back.
Okay.
Oh,
I
Take it away.
watched like the last half hour of it. Anybody else catch it? Or more of it than me?
I managed to watch the whole thing just now because I recorded it yesterday, so
Cool.
I did get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I caught about the last hour maybe.
Okay.
50 minutes.
Yeah, it's like this was an hour and this was an hour and 40, hour 45 max. Basically, it was situated between IndyCar qualifying and IndyCar race 1 on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal, of course, I think was other big deal about this race too was the fact that you had prototypes and GT Daytona rather than all 3 classes. One of the many races that IMSA does that with. But this was the first one outside of after Long Beach.
Yeah.
Big deal was Penske, Acuras were 1-2, just like Mid-Ohio in practice and qualifying. GT Daytona was a little more open. You had Paul Miller racing Lamborghini up front when the Shank boys running 2 Acuras this weekend were like second and third. Race itself was really interesting because the winners who won, we'll get into that in just a sec. I feel this was a race that was won on pure strategy because the race was so short that you could get away with doing some really off-the-wall stuff.
I would agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
And for future reference, let's see here. Oh, dear. Oh, well. Okay, where was it? Dang it, this is why I have my stuff up at the front. If you guys can chime in just a second, but...
Well, I mean, I think some of the first things that we saw from at least the IMSA race that I noticed was, again, Mazda looked strong in the beginning, but then they started to have some issues, and this is the DPI. And I think that this course was a little bit of a I hate the, well, I don't hate it. To get to what Marshall Pruitt was saying, a galvanizing nail in the coffin for me, for at least talking about some of the stuff that IMSA needs to sort of split up the DPIs and the P2s again.
It's looking less and less amicable every race.
I don't mean to interrupt. Just letting you know that I'm back. I've got milk, and I'm not going to have enough milk for this entire bag. So,
okay.
So I'm just letting you know. I'm going to let you guys continue talking about IMSA because I didn't follow IMSA that much.
Okay.
And then once you guys are done talking about IMSA, we'll talk about Belle Isle Race 2.
Race 2, yeah. Race 2 in discussion for Detroit. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, you say that, Tyler, with IMSA, splitting up the DPIs and the LMP2s again. Fastest lap of the race was initially set by a P2, just a global P2. It was set by the 99, the Red Dragon, for JDC Miller.
JDC Miller Gainesco, yeah.
Yeah, Robert Alon. No, actually, no, the other car, the Robert Alon car, the 85, set the fastest lap of the race, broke their in-race track record. Now, the winning car actually went on to break that by about a tenth, but...
So not even that much.
Not even that much. It's hard to say, really. I mean, there isn't really... The thing I think that skews this debate is that there isn't really a professional... Not to say not all race teams are professional, but there isn't really a big budget, high-dollar LMP2 program. All the big budget, high-dollar programs are DPIs. And to give perspective, last year, Penske showed up with an Orica LMP2, and they qualified it on pole for the Mall when nobody expected them to.
I'm also going to throw this in here, is that with BOP, when people are making BOPs, the theory is if you can get cars within a tenth per mile. So with Belle Isle's, I think 2.35 miles. If you can get them within 0.2 of a second, then they're even. That comes within driving talent difference. So at Belle Isle, BOP was fine.
But
that's something you need to track. That's something you need to track race to race is to see where the discrepancies are per event. Because Long Beach, the discrepancies were kind of bigger. Mid-Ohio, the discrepancies they were massive. If you can BOP it correctly, it'll be fine. Because DPI is not that much different. It's an Orica based chassis just with the manufacturer kits on them.
And
So-
a different engine. And a different engine. The engine is really the key thing, not just the aero, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
arrow's negligible because they don't
Mhm.
produce that much more arrow.
I mean, the Acura, you can make a sense for that. In the Nissan, you splitter wing
Well-
over the front and with the low nose, but that's about it otherwise.
it's negligible, especially when you go to high speed tracks like Daytona and Sebring. That
Mhm.
becomes negligible, especially over long distances.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the rule of thumb when it comes to VOP. If you, a tenth a second per lap, if you can get them within that. So Belle Isle would have been 2.5 tenths. If you could get your global P2 and your DPI within 2.5 tenths, that is within range of driver talent.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, okay, Daytona is almost 3 3/4 mile. So you would have to be 3 tenths or under, which obviously they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Sebring was similar, and Sebring's
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah. It's
It's weird. You guys are going to complain about these street circuits like Long Beach and Detroit, but that's where these B2s have a chance.
I know.
And-
I don't complain about them at all. I think
Well,
the P2s. I mean, last year a P2 won at Laguna Seca, and that was more
I think-
course-like than the others, and how it suits
I
the
think
P2s
my
more.
issue, I think the issue that IMSA needs to figure out is what they want to do, because they feel like they want to be this top endurance series, but then they race at places like Belle Isle, which
Yeah,
people argue shouldn't even be hosting IndyCar, and I wouldn't argue against it.
I wouldn't.
Let
either.
alone a
I
multi-class
mean,
series.
I mean, they
But
have to cut
sadly-
down.
They've slimmed down
But
that
at the
multi-
same time,
though.
but at the same time, if you look at Belle Isle and you look at the attendance for Belle Isle,
Yeah, it was better this
And-
year
and
for
you can-
IndyCar, but nah.
you can
Yeah.
well, okay, compare Belle Isle and compare Long Beach.
Yeah, there's no comparison.
Especially
There's no comparison.
especially compare Belle Isle, because Long Beach is a crown jewel. Compare Belle
Yeah.
Isle because it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
worthless. It's a worthless race. It's a throwaway race.
So
Look at the attendance
it's-
compared to Mid Ohio.
I mean, it's after
9-day
Indy.
difference.
But I'll
Yeah.
say one name of why Belle Isle gets the nod over all
Penske.
the others. That name is Penske. Yes.
Oh yeah,
So-
Penske. It's Penske's race. Penske's the organizer.
Penske and General Motors.
And
Right
He
yep,
there.
renovated the track back when it fell into disrepair. But yeah, I mean, the amount of money that man's thrown at that track, I don't think
Yeah.
you're going to see it go away.
yeah.
But back to your point, that should be a race where you should see the P2s and the DPIs, whatever advantage they have, nullified to where you should see the P2s challenging for a lead and challenging for the race wins. But again, I feel like you didn't really see that. That may come down to money. It definitely probably comes down to engine. But the fact of the matter is those P2s just aren't able to compete on the same level, even with this BOP package that they have. It might be BOP
okay,
over
Just
lap.
for clarification, Penske's running a DPI, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Acura's program.
Okay, I was just making sure. I don't remember because P2 is so
Oh.
crazy right now with European Le Mans and Asian Le Mans. I didn't know if
yeah,
Acura was
no,
anywhere else.
Yeah, Penske runs the Acura DPI program.
Mhm.
And
Okay,
that's
so-
the only
so-
new DPI program. So
runs the
Okay, so who was third? Who was third in the Belle Isle race and
oh.
prototype?
Oh, well, actually, before we get into that, let's do the results, I guess. Felipe Nasser, Eric Curran won Whalen Engineering, the Cadillac DPI. They took a fuel-only stop, basically double stinted the tires, and were
By the
less
way,
than a
I'm gonna
second
point out
ahead of
something.
the-
This is the first time Felipe Nasser has won in I think 5 years.
anything? Yeah.
Anything.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was talked about. He had GP2 experience, but he wasn't. He was good there, but he never really.
But he wasn't stellar.
won. He wasn't
And then he went to
stellar.
Sauber.
He was not a standout, and then he went to F1 with Sauber.
he had
And
Banco
he came here.
Dovillo backing him. Which
And then
was-
when he lost the seat with Sauber, he sat out for a year, a full
that's
year or
right.
two.
Yeah. Full year.
So this is the first time Felipe Nasser stood on the top step of a podium in like 5 years.
In 5 years, yeah.
So
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I still remember when he was one of those rookies because Sunoco had like some sort of challenge for top open wheel people, and they got like a ride over in the 24 Daytona.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was his first sports car experience. And that experience is ultimately thinking about that is what led him draw back to IMSA, is the article I read. But
He's on a good team to do it.
yes,
I
he
like-
is.
I
Yeah,
like
he's cool.
in IMSA. I think it's a better format for him. I think it sort of definitely plays to his strengths. Especially, it doesn't help doesn't hurt that you're in a Cadillac, especially in that series also. But
that's the thing about IMSA.
role.
Is that it plays more to your strengths, and your weaknesses kind of get brushed to the side.
Yeah.
Look at Karam. Like he granted he's never been stellar in IMSA, but he never looked bad.
No, he didn't. And even with his team that he was on, because I don't rate 3GT at all when it comes to racing teams. Like the IndyCar program, the IndyCar channel, what are the drivers that trigger you? Well, for me, when it comes to teams, 3GT, I'm like going, how are the Genelozzi still involved in racing? What is the deal? How does this happen? But I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get into that. But yeah, basically Whelen Engineering Racing, Cadillac DPI. They made I made a fuel stop at the end, and they were less than a second, about exactly 1 second ahead of the number 7 Acura Team Penske car, Elliot Castroneves and Ricky Taylor. Then the third place car was the second Team Penske Acura of Dane Cameron and Juan Montoya.
Mm-hmm.
Then Scott Sharp and Ron Dial in fourth, about 45 seconds behind in the Tequila Patron Nissan DPI. And rounding out the top 5 was Renge van der Zand and Jordan Taylor in the Konica Minolta, the Wayne Taylor racing car, Cadillac in 5th. Although they had some issues. 6th place, I thought, was again Mustang sampling with Albuquerque and Yao Barbosa.
I think so.
The first actual, am I reading this right? Yes, it is. The last car on the lead lap was the only LMP2 on the lead lap. That was the Saavedra and Gustavo Yakaman with the last car on the lead lap. And the only LMP2 on the lead lap.
Wait.
Yeah?
Saavedra is in LMP2?
Yes, he is. He's with AFS
PR1.
PR1 Mathiasen. He's got the AFS Sprinkler sponsorship.
No
yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, he's got the AFS sponsorship, and he's partnered with Gustavo Yakaman.
That's why he's still relevant in IndyCar, because he's still racing. Okay.
Yes.
I thought he just kind of disappeared off the face of Earth.
He's
Not
got
really.
FS money backing his seat in IMSA right now.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
he was the
Gator.
He was the car that flipped over the Ferrari, or the Ferrari flipped over him in Sebring this year.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, and then in GT Daytona, you had Meyer Shank Racing running 2 cars this weekend, and their second car with Catherine Legg and Farnbacher took the win.
Wait,
and
did Jim Meyer buy a part of a Shank completely?
Meyer Shank, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Meyer Shank Racing, yeah.
They had to go in double part.
Like,
Acura had to pull their factory money because so last year what happened is Shank was fully backed by Acura basically, and then
until Penske came in.
Penske got the DPI sponsorship, but then IMSA came in and said, "Hey, GT Daytona is supposed to be for privateers only. We're not going to have that," because that's how 3GT kind of lost their.
Yeah, well, the
Lexus.
deal with how not to cut in on you, Tyler, but how I read it was IMSA with GT Daytona. IMSA kind of, if it's the first year of a brand new car, they're kind of lenient toward manufacturer teams. After that, it's all customer and all pro-am. And that kind of hit Shank hard because Shank were really angling for the DPI program, and they lost that to Penske. And then the double whammy is then they get hit with losing, the funding for their Acura program, the GT Daytona program.
So Jim Meyer from SiriusXM, he's actually funding Shank's team in both IMSA and IndyCar, right?
and IndyCar. Yes.
Okay.
He's good friends with Shank. He believes
that's
in
what
Shank.
I was just asking clarification for.
Yes.
Because I hadn't referred to Shank's. I haven't heard Shank's team and IMSA referred to as Meyer Shank too.
Well, this is a new program. This is actually, I believe, only the second IMSA race. It's been called Meyer Shank Racing.
Well, that makes sense for when they started calling it Meyer Shank and IndyCar.
Well, yeah, that was the first IndyCar race that Meyer Shank. They weren't Meyer Shank at St. Pete in IndyCar. This happened before the 500, actually.
This was at Long Beach was when it happened.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, they got.
I mean,
Mhm.
I was just gonna say, I think all that came up though when obviously Shank found out that the financials weren't going to be there to run not only the GT Daytona but also the IndyCar program. I'm sure the amount that Myers is paying for the IndyCar program, if he has the extra money, running a GT Daytona program can't be that much more expensive. So
running a GT3 car and running a GT3 car and running an IndyCar is about the same price.
Oof.
Shit.
And Myers has some
Wow.
deep pockets.
So that's brutal.
Yeah, well, yeah, Sirius XM. But
that's brutal. Fuck.
Shank, for one car, an IndyCar, and one car, an IMSA, and GT Daytona, that's $14 million.
Jeez.
And that is not including driver salaries.
Right.
I need to get like a sounding board and do the Botchamania guy going, Jesus, and just play it on air with like those big moments like that, because that's mind blowing to me. No wonder you got IMSA teams looking at IndyCar now. That's
because you're running with IMSA. Why teams are looking at IndyCar now is because IndyCar's regular race purses have increased.
Mm-hmm.
In 2013, I remember there being a complaint that the winner at Fontana, the winner actually got out of the purse only like $35,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it's closer to like what, 65, 50, 65, 70?
I think it varies per race now, but
yeah, okay.
across the board, race purses have increased. I think I don't know because they don't publicly disclose that outside the 500.
Not anymore. Yeah.
I believe it's at least double now because IndyCars, I think, as far as the income that they've gotten, is over doubled. So it would make sense if the race purses followed that, which is weird because the Indianapolis 500 purse has decreased.
Yeah, the 500 purse is Miller has been Robin Miller from Racer being a joke for years. That doesn't surprise me. Like the overall purse is pretty big. Like again, they made the point that Penske and Willpower made $2.5 million, but everyone else kind of gets like peanuts. I know the example.
I think
they were also.
I think Carpenter. Go ahead.
Hmm?
Oh, I was going to say they're doling out money differently too. I think based on that winner circle stuff too.
Oh yeah, the leader circle program.
Yeah, all the full-time cars. All the full-time cars get money.
Yes.
Well,
basically, it's about $1 million to $2 million on the year.
Well,
enough for basically almost a quarter of the season.
I noticed for the Indy 500 persons too that the cars that participated more in the regular season stuff tended to get a higher purse.
That's part of it.
I was lucky enough. I got to watch the awards banquet because I was in Indy for the race, and they televised that locally. The overall prize money for teams that basically finish the race that compete the whole season tend to be higher. Because I think Stephenson only walked away with like $40,000 or something like that. Some $400,000, something like that.
More than that.
Yeah. Little bit
because 33rd place, which was Davison, he walked away with at least $200,000.
Then it was $400,000. But there were two guys that finished behind him that were participating in the whole season that got about $50,000 to $60,000 more a year, for their finishing place, even though Stefan beat him out.
Would that have been Kimball and Chilton? That's the only the two I can think of. Because right behind him was Harvey and Servia, and I know that they didn't earn more.
No. Yeah,
the way the winner circle is the top 20 of the full-time finishers earn $2 million, and the other full-time drivers, the other full-time entries earn just $1 million. The way that winner circle works.
Okay.
So that's why you start seeing. That's why the midfield battle is so big, is because there's at least an extra $1 million involved in that, plus whatever the race purses are. So that's why teams want to be in full time in IndyCars because of that winner's circle purse.
Yeah.
Because you think
Yeah.
and everyone talks about F1 everyone talks about how in F1 how big the discrepancy is. Well, it's all even in IndyCar with the winner's circle's purse. Just top 20 gets $2 million, and everyone else below that gets $1 million. And that didn't start until 2013.
Yeah,
and that was because it was just $1 million then.
Yeah.
So,
but they kind of had
that's why IMSA teams are so interested in IndyCar now, is because there's that free money. There's that free money, and plus the IndyCar race purses are more, and there's more IndyCar races, so there's more ways to earn money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about driver ratings.
And there's also
rich guys that can do the racing and just a bunch of other
things. There's also the deal where the state of Indiana is subsidizing aero kits for full-time entries.
Whoa.
So
really?
All the full-time cars get one free oval kit and one free road course kit.
Wow. Yeah, I read that too. Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, that's all full entries, and I think that's a 3-year deal. That gets them through this current generation of car.
Yeah, actually, it does.
Wow.
So that's why McLaren's interested. That's why Corsa's interested. That's why Shank's interested, is because there's money to be saved and there's money to be earned. Yes. And if they can get a lock on it, and McLaren's going to be on it, they're going to get out of the game. They're going to be on it because if they get Alonso, they're going to have top tier stuff, no matter what. If they do not come out of the gate performing well, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, no, Alonso,
it's going to look really bad.
It's going to be a PR disaster. I don't think they would go so far as to do a year that ended up being bad and then quit right there. But it would
Zach Brown's pretty committed to his stuff because he's got United Autosports and I want to say he's got United Autosports and he's at United. I'm trying to think of where he's at. I think they've got an IMSA P2. I think I know they've got a European Le Mans P2.
Yeah, United Autosports is European LM is a ALM. It's a P2 in the European Le Mans series.
And then they've got he's involved with V8 supercars, obviously McLaren.
Yeah, United Autosports is involved with. They actually.
It was United.
That's right.
It was United, Andretti, and Walkinshaw, and
that's right.
V8 supercars.
Yeah,
I believe
that's correct. Yeah.
So United Autosports in itself is involved, and
quite
that
a bit of different things. Yeah.
the McLaren investment group seems to be pretty behind this whole expansion thing. So they're going to invest heavily, making sure they've got the best crew, and obviously if they've got Alonso, it kind of matters because IndyCar is going to help. IndyCar is going to at least they're going to at least hold the door open.
You say that, but I can think of at least a couple other times chance to be making some big money and get interest, and IndyCar just kind of shrugged their shoulders and went whatever. I think with McLaren though, there might be that case of a turnaround of that happening. But I got to see it to believe it, in my opinion.
List those other two instances real quick. I just
Connor Daly with Smithfield Meats, the fueled by bacon car that went up in flames. And basically, from what I had read, the Smithfield people were not happy at how IndyCar treated them. They were not happy with not the deal. They were high on the racing and high on Connor, but they were not digging how they were being treated. That's the one off the top of my head I can think of. That's why they
think of how they were being treated. Trying to think of how they were treated because
the car was slow. The team treated Daly like shit.
Well, I wouldn't say that's IndyCar then. I would say it was IndyCar. I think that's more or less
turn off the sponsor basically. And that's the last time I can think of off the top of my head that happened.
Okay, well that's what happens when you hit your ride on Connor Daly. Now, granted, this year he was kind of on his own without a paddle because he was in a road course car.
He got it home only a lap down with that road course. He drove pretty smart.
Yeah, he did pretty well at Indy.
But
like the last
here nor
few
there.
years, it's been
Well,
like the
look
only
at
one
who
he
he's
finished was
driven
his rookie year.
for. Well, look at where he's driven. Look at how bad Foyt was, where they had 2 separate shops in 2 different states. And how just a bunch of things. There's a lot of things you can say about Daly. I'm not going to go
at the
to
same
bat for
time
the guy, but I will say that there are extenuating circumstances about his performances. I do think that he has talent. Maybe he's not going to be a superstar. He's not Rossi. He's not Wickens.
He's super inconsistent. He's too inconsistent.
Yeah, that's the really thing.
That's why no one's willing to go to bat for him, is because he's super inconsistent, and it shows.
Yeah.
When his best chance was at Coin, and he had decent races in the Indy GP.
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
But
at the same time, he crashed so much.
He crashed so much because he was having to crib off of Sebastian Bourdais setups, and they were not his driving style. Indy GP, he basically put his foot down and said, I want to set up the car, and he does so well there. It's what I read. There were a couple other things about Connor that I listened to in like the podcast from Marshall Pruitt over the off season. But okay, what do you think? Race 2? Going to talk about race 2 so we can spare Mr. Cherokee from having any problems with your stomach and your mouth going?
Oh, my stomach is torn up. I've had to actually take a break for a second so I can, because I can feel my stomach just bloating. So yeah, we'll talk about Detroit race 2.
Okay, so we'll close out. Started off with the craziest thing I've seen in a while. It's taking over
let's talk about qualifying. Let's run down through the day with qualifying, because we'll get to the meme of the race.
All right, so qualifying was held in the wet early in the morning. Firestone had a new rain weather tire that everybody liked. No complaints, which, considering how much of a disaster Barber was, that's big. And your comments, Cherokee, from when, how you didn't want to see rain races because of how bad the tire was, I think that might actually be gone.
Well, yeah, and that's what I said. Before we started recording, I remember saying that, Road America could be a wet race, and I might actually be okay with it because the wet tire seems to be a lot better. Yeah, and Rossi is the only driver in the field that has experience with the Pirelli wet weather tires, which dispel so much water so quickly.
Yeah,
and he said that it was a night and day difference, and that these new rain tires were fantastic. So pretty comfortable now. Obviously, we'll see when in racing conditions, hopefully. But Rossi got pole. It was Wickens in second. So yippee-ki-yay, ABC's going to push that to the moon. And they did.
Actually, I didn't see it.
They did at the beginning. They did in race 1 back when they battled. And then they did at the beginning of race 2 until Wickens just kind of fell off the high horse and just went backwards.
Yeah. So Rossi on the pole, Wickens in second, Will Power in third for Penske, the only Chevrolet in the 6 and one of only 2 Chevrolets in the top 10 for race number 2. Ed Jones lined up 4th. Scott Dixon actually lined up 5th. And then you had Hinch, Zach Veach, Pagenaud was the other Penske driver, Graham Rahal and Ryan Hunter-Reay in 10th.
So
pretty good.
We got through the rain, and the qualifying was taking place in drying conditions, so it was variable all throughout. Okay, so we got through the race. They dried off the track, and so we're getting ready to go green. And okay, cool. Everything's fine. The pace car comes out and hits a bump, and just spins it. Now this pace car is a Chevrolet Corvette ZR1. It's got 700 horsepower. And the vice president of the racing division of GM was driving this car.
Yes,
the hottest new product,
and he floored it.
Yes, because when you go through turn, there is that kind of rise down, and he went over that apex, and the wheels got underneath him. He was a little too aggressive with the throttle and looped it straight into the concrete barrier.
I remember in the chat, Tyler was talking about how the 2-seater was sitting. The 2-seater had nothing to do with it because he never touched the brakes. You can see the brake lights. He never was on the brakes. He just spun it. Because the way it works is because there's usually 2 or 3 pace laps. So you'll have your safety trucks get to their positions. and the two-seater will just follow them while the pace car driver holds whatever the speed is, which I think was like 60.
Yeah.
Or
60
in this
knots.
case, concrete. But so and it left a good 10 seconds before the pace car left.
Yeah.
So, and they've been doing this since, I want to say since at least Angel said 2012, but they've been doing it longer because I remember going to Kentucky and they had it.
Yeah.
So that's at least
2012 was
that's
when
at
they
least
started
20.
to make a deal.
They've been doing it since at least 2010.
Yeah.
And it's been the same process. You'll have your trucks, you'll have the two-seater, you'll have the pace car. The cars in front of the pace car will leave in an advanced I guess an advanced timer. There'll be 10, 15 seconds, and then the pace car will go. And so there was supposed to be 3 laps of pace. And I think they still did those 3 laps. But
yeah.
So the pace car crashed. There was a 30-minute wait, 1 to clear up debris, and 2 because the backup pace car didn't have a transponder in it. So they had to get a transponder in it. That's where most of the wait was because there was no transponder.
Yeah.
Which baffles me why there isn't a transponder in that pace car.
What? Come on. Seriously.
Well, I mean, look at how many times you've had to use a backup pace car within the last 5 years.
I would figure though. Well, here's the thing. They usually alternate pace cars anyway.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing that bothers me. Indianapolis, you'll see the pace car. You'll see different pace cars. They've got like 4 pace cars for the 500.
Yeah.
They've got like 4 or 5 pace cars for the 500, and they'll alternate every caution.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they have a spare pace car doesn't bother me. It's just the fact that pace car wasn't ready from the start. Because that pace car that Servia was in was the same pace car he used yesterday.
Yeah.
The pace car the GM vice president was using wasn't used yesterday.
Yeah.
So that makes no sense to me.
So
that was the
now.
Oh yeah. You can find it on Craigslist, slightly used.
Slightly used Corvette CR1, priced in about stickers about 120. I'm gonna say it's like one of those Craigslist ads where I'll give you 65 grand.
I'll give you $5,000 right now for it.
Dude, I would just give you $5,000 for like the front bumper.
Yeah.
That can clean off. I'll take it. You're not using it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But so the GM vice president of the racing division crashed the pace car for race 2.
This is saying it wasn't the vice president of the racing division.
Race.
It was General Motors vice president, Mark Roos. It was not the GM of racing.
And more important guy.
Even a more important guy. Yeah.
Okay, so your hottest product in racing, your hottest product in cars, and you bin it. You didn't even get to 60 miles an hour, and you binned it.
Yes. Out of the pit lane.
Race.
At the race that Chevy is basically paying with organizing it. It's Chevy's race. It's the thing.
All I'm going to say is that's going to be a very uncomfortable boardroom come Monday morning.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah.
But okay.
And somewhere
from the half-hour delay from the red flag.
Now, this is the curious thing, because everyone started taking guesses at this point in the VRR server as to whether or not it was going to be a timed race. Some people said it was going to be, but because weather was not a factor or was not an immediate factor, there was no time. The time limit was not put in place. Now, some people were also saying that that's ABC's decision. It's not. Like there's rules specifically outlining when that's in effect and when it's not. Had they have taken the green flag and then stopped, then the timer would come into play.
Yes.
Since they had not even completed the first pace lap, there was no point in having a timer because
the race had not technically started yet. Yeah. The procedure to get the race started hadn't technically started.
My only caveat to that, though, is the fact that IndyCar has had a history in the past of starting races, or not starting races, starting them under the pretense that they are going to be the full race distance. And then a third to at least half of the way in, they go, oh, yeah, no, it's timed race. I can remember
I hate
Belle Isle
that
2015. Belle Isle
Well,
2015 is the most recent example of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Houston race
But-
1 in 2014 was a perfect example, because I was at that race and I didn't even know Carlos Huertas was in the lead and won the race. And then I see the check out and I'm like, oh, they didn't complete all those laps.
No, it's weird. I think they've been working on simplifying that.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be more cut and dry now.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2013, like any weather affected race at all was
Back then,
pretty
yeah.
sketchy.
Yeah.
But it seems to be more clear now because Barber, they had the race distance, but when they realized that they weren't going to do it, they moved to time. And even then, they were only 3 laps short of completing the full race distance.
I know.
So that's not a huge deal. Like they've been getting better at it. So props to them on that.
Mhm. But
I think they
guess.
only add that in place if the race itself takes longer than 2 hours.
Yeah.
Which obviously you can't judge if there's no weather, and it's because the vice president of Chevrolet or General Motors is
General
an absolute
Motors, yeah.
idiot. So
Okay,
so we moved on from the pace car.
Yes.
So Serbia became the pace car driver. Good for him to still have a job.
Yes.
I was so worried he's going to have to hit the unemployment line. Like we were going to end up seeing him in Stock Car Brazil at some point.
Dude, he's got a business. He's got an eatery. He's got friends. He's never going to really go hungry. I don't. Maybe not want to go in racing again, but he'll be around doing something.
He's from Catalonia. He is possibly.
No, he is.
He can always.
He is from Catalonia, dude.
With that.
So, race finally gets going, and Rossi just pulls away. He walks away. It's kind of the story of most of the race up until like 10 to go. It's kind of the story of the race. He'll walk away. He'll pit. Yeah. Everyone else kind of cycle through, and then he'll still walk away. We had. I don't think we had a caution today, did we?
No.
The safety car, no.
Oh yeah, at lap 1 was Piggott because he spun around and he blamed for Santino Ferrucci.
Yeah, who by
even
the way
though Ferrucci.
Yeah, we totally glossed over the fact that Ferrucci went flying through the air in race 1 straight after he got dumped by Charlie Kimball. But
you mean Charlie? You mean Charlie Pinball?
Charlie Pinball, Charlie Hustle, Diabetes. He's got a couple of names.
But
Pinball. Pinball's the one I remember reading and coining, but
that's all I've always heard him called.
Basically, Piggott blamed Ferrucci, who was making his debut.
Even though Ferrucci didn't even touch him.
No, the replay showed conclusively that Piggott was already half when Ferrucci came to him.
So it's once again it's Ericsson's fault.
Yeah. So we go from that first lap, caution. After that,
it was interesting
all the way through.
Because there was an accordion effect because it was Piggott spinning, and Ferrucci's obviously stacked up. Bourdais was behind him, and I believe Chilton ran to the back of Bourdais and popped his right rear tire or left rear tire. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's where Bourdais' pop tire came from. So he had a flat tire.
Yeah.
Later
in the race, that becomes a big deal.
So the first caution comes through, everyone does their stuff, and Bourdais starts charging through the field. Rossi's walking away. It's like, okay, this is like Long Beach. Okay, that's fine. Everyone's sprinting because
he's checked out. He's packed his bags.
No one knew what the rain was going to do because people were saying, well, it's possibly going to rain. Someone's saying it's not. Some saying, well, it's super muggy, so something could just pop up.
Yeah.
Ends up there's not rain. It's just really muggy and hot.
Yeah. Just like race 1, really.
I'm trying to think.
Temperatures and things.
So we get, I think, almost halfway, and Ferrucci bends it. He
did it. Basically, he hits the pace car. That
Yeah, coming out of
just
turn
past
2,
the
he's
apex
on
of
it.
turn 2, he spins it. He hits that bump and he spins it, and the front end just goes straight.
Looking at it, he's actually quite a bit away from the apex. Like he's out of turn 2 when he spins. Well, he
Yeah, that's
spins
where
in
that
turn
bump
2,
is.
but
Yeah.
when he hits the wall, it's already well off of turn 2.
Yeah, because he's getting on the power by that point, and the
But
power.
because this, for some reason, this humored me for some reason. But because of the tethers, it just looks like his car's got a mouth and it's just talking as he's driving. Because it's just bouncing up and down, and it's this front wing.
Oh
and
man, it's like all right, Cars 4 IndyCar edition, where you got the freaking wing doing the mouth.
Oh my god, it was hilarious. So he made it back around and repaired his car. So he ended up retiring.
Yeah,
because of the lap 1 incident, and then I want to say we were almost lap 60 when Bourdais' issue came up, because he charged for the field. He was sitting top mid-50s, somewhere like that. Like it was the final. It was like we were starting to get to the final charge of the race.
We were in the last third of the race, so around 25 laps to go-ish. Bourdais does an amazing pirouette spin, clips the inside grass in turn 2, which I didn't even realize that was there, but it was. He had 3 other cars around him, and nobody hit him.
Yeah, but that's because he had a broken rear toe link.
Yep.
From when Kimball hit him, and because Belle Isle so bumpy, that strain on top of that damage eventually just snapped it, and you can see him skewed. Like he's
when
like
he got
he's
back going again, you could see it. It's just straight up, doing the NASCAR style crab walk. And the thing is just like,
so
every time he gets on the power, it goes sideways.
He made it back to pit lane, no caution, so we stayed green, and then Rossi came in. Rossi was, I think Rossi
was on the
tried the
two-stop strategy. Yeah, Rossi was on the 2-stop.
Yeah,
everybody else pretty much at front was on the 3.
So
this really shows how
Rossi was on the
amazing
2-stop. Hunter-Reay was on the 3-stop strategy. So Hunter-Reay's tires were 16 laps fresher, and he was reeling Rossi in.
Yeah, and it was the black leather tires too. It wasn't the reds. He was on. He had taken care of his red.
But yeah, so Rossi was leading, but he was after the nurse tires because obviously that's what you have to do on a 2-stop. And Hunter-Reay was just reeling him in. Hunter-Reay was just quick because he blew by power.
Yeah. In the post-race, the little post-race that ABC did, and Hunter-Reay's engineer pretty much said over the radio, best race. I think that was the best performance I've ever seen you do. So that was the drive of your life, basically.
So Hunter-Reay pulls up to Rossi.
Yeah.
Getting back, he pulls up to Rossi, and there's a couple laps. Rossi starts locking up big time.
Yeah,
locks
he
up once.
Going into 3.
Okay. Tires are just like shot.
Yeah, so he locks up once, like, okay, no big deal. Locks up again, bigger. Okay, this is starting to get really bad. And that 3rd time, he just locks it, and
it's gone.
There wasn't a 3rd time, I don't think. He locked it up.
That was the 3rd time.
3. Really? I didn't see the first one then.
Yeah, there was one.
I saw the other 2.
There was one that was minor because there was one that affected the right front, one that affected the left front, and one where both locked up and the rear tire blew.
That was the killer for the race.
That was
so there was 3.
Smoke screen or Hunter-Reay. He had to use the rubber 3. Yeah,
so there were 3 times, and that was like the 3rd strike, you're done.
3rd strike, you're out.
And that was I think 7, 8 to go.
Road. That was at 10 to go. Yeah. That last one happened at 10 to go.
And he still recovered at 10th. Well, 12th. Yeah. So not bad.
Yeah. Ryan Hunter-Reay was on cruise control from there.
Yeah, and Hunter-Reay got his first win since Pocono 2015.
Yeah, wow. So almost 3 years.
So for the first race he's won since Justin Wilson passed away, essentially.
Damn.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Will Power was 2nd, Ed Jones 3rd. I'm trying to remember who was 4th. I don't remember.
Dixon.
I thought Dixon was 5th.
No, he qualified 5th. He ended up finishing 4th.
Okay, Dixon was 4th. Another Honda.
Recovered from his accident in 5th. Robert Wickens ended up 6th. He kind of was up and down through the field all day. Tony Kanaan got a top 10 for AJ Foyt in 7th. Charlie Kimball, first top 10 for Carlin in 8th. Marco Andretti was nowhere in qualifying, and he ended up. And my pick to win, Mr. Simon Pageant, is not looking good right now. He's the weak link at Penske, I think. He finished 10th. He was not competitive all weekend. He was my pick to win the second race, and I got it totally wrong. Because, yes.
Okay, no. I got it totally wrong here. I'm the one that had to eat friggin' ghost pepper chips, and my stomach is torn up. My God, I will tell you. It is torn up. So, we still have stuff to talk about. We've still got some time too. We got about 20. I like to keep it within like an hour and a half, so we got 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Everyone give a amen to the end of ABC broadcasting for IndyCar.
Amen, brother.
Because
I'm just glad I don't have to see Cheever ever do another race ever again.
Because for those that are unaware, NBC is taking over the rights to IndyCar broadcasting starting, next week at Texas, but technically starting next year.
Full-time next year.
Every race will be on NBC. There'll be 8 races. There'll be 8 races on NBC plus Indianapolis qualifying will be on NBC proper.
Yep.
So 9 full weekends for NBC propers covering IndyCar.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest will be on NBCSN like normal.
Yep.
And we have no idea what those other races are going to be. We're assuming St. Pete and Long Beach are 2 of them.
Yeah.
Possibly Texas being another one. Eddie Gasaz in Texas are going to pay for that money. They're going to pay. They're going to work for it. And Texas the last few years has been a pretty entertaining race.
Yeah, and it's Saturday night.
Texas is still pretty important.
Well,
and it's in the middle of June.
Not to derail the conversation too much, but what do we think is going to happen at Texas with this new Aero kit? Are they going to make the change?
That's it. That's where we're getting ready. That's where we're getting ready to head because we're going to talk about that right afterwards. But yeah, NBC's covering it starting covering IndyCar full time next year. And I guess we'll understand more when it gets to the end of the season. But as far as the whole streaming thing, streaming is supposed to not be as big. So like the sessions, like practice sessions that we've seen being streamed
on IndyCar's YouTube page are going to probably be on NBC Gold. NBCSN Gold.
But the way it's supposed to work is that the race broadcasts that they release like under delay are supposed to continue.
Ah,
wonderful.
That's good. Nice.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Races the day after.
Yeah.
They don't even
week
do races
after. There's
day
like a
after.
week.
It's middle of the week. They always they upload them in middle of the week.
They get them out.
I think there's supposed to be more time between, but they are going to keep doing that because they like to have their own library. IndyCar's been big on having their own library available, and that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I remember it came up when IndyCar's YouTube page would start doing. They would like vote for like which old school race to come up to upload on the channel, and I think one time it was a race that I don't think any broadcast exists of. Period. 1980 Pocono USAC when they had the front engine they had the front engine. They had like the mid-engine car, front engine frickin' World Outlaws cars with no wings on the speedway as field fillers.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But
that wanted to, and then they couldn't upload it because there is, and so I think since then, and since the complaints because it is such an odd curio, it led to IndyCar kind of going, okay, we need to have legit like library, library, like you were talking about it. Yeah.
But anyway, next IndyCar races this season, again, from here on out, it's NBCSN. So next race is next weekend at Texas, July 9th. Well, not July 9th, June 9th.
June 9th.
Saturday night. Texas. And then June 24th at Road America. But Texas, Tyler asked, what do we expect it to be? Me and Weasel talked about it before we started commentating that we're kind of expecting a 2013, 2014 style race.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be boring, most of it, and then it's going to have a great finish.
Yeah. Action on the restarts, maybe. If we have more than one or two. But
here's where my caveat comes in, and that is the repave and the reconfigure. None of those races had it,
That's true.
there's still a lot of grip in that.
Oh,
So
hell
if
yeah,
there's
there
anything,
is, yeah.
if there's anything that's going to prove us wrong on that, it's the repave. It's the still somewhat fresh surface because it's only like a year or two old.
Yeah.
And with turn 1 and turn 2 being more progressive and wider.
Yeah, just wider and knockdown, 20 degrees banking, progressive banking. So like for California Speedway almost, but progressive. And then the 3 and 4 are the more traditional quad oval shape with a single 25-degree bank, which was what that whole track was around.
What I feel confident making my banking on for next weekend is it's not going to be a pack race. So it's not going to be like last year. But it's going to be, I want to say like 2016's night race, when there was like that second half of the race that was on that because of that rain delay. The second half of that race, where you're not going to see pack racing, but passing is not going to be rare. You're going to see a decent amount of passing.
Yeah. I like that.
I don't see pack racing. I don't see 2 or 3 wide, but I do see passing being pretty continuous, especially turns 1 and 2.
Yeah,
you
that's
can run
the
just about
prime
anywhere.
place now. That's the prime place now with IndyCar. Is those first 2 corners?
I hope so. I mean, I just wonder about the turbulent air and how well these cars and how much they don't like turbulent air.
Well, there's more.
Indy, but the banking's going to help. But
there's banking, and then there's multiple lines because you can run multiple lines no matter what.
Yeah,
it's just turns 3 and 4 is not going to be as. It's weird because turns 3 and 4 for Texas might actually be worth something if you run outside. Actually. If you run like a higher line, because if you're second and you're running on the turns 3 and 4 and you're running a lane higher, you're getting a lot better run onto the actual tri-oval than what you would have been able to before. So this year could be interesting. Obviously, it's gonna. I don't want to say anything until practice, but I think that this package might be okay for Texas. It's not gonna be last year.
No, last year was an anomaly because at night it was in months after the race was supposed to be held.
Actually, last year was fine. It was 2016 that had the.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
2016 was just crazy because obviously Honda had the reconfigured oval aero kit, so everyone was kind of just close together, and it was gonna. And plus, that was right after the repave, so there was super great.
Okay. So last year then.
So last year was going to be last year. I'm not sure if it's an anomaly. You obviously have to look at this year to see if it's an anomaly or not. I would say the 2016 night race is my safest bet. That's what I'm kind of expecting. But if it's like 2014 where it's kind of just until the end, I'd still be okay with that because the ending of 2014 where it was Carpenter winning and then you had Montoya and Power side by side for second, that was still pretty cool. So, but I'm thinking with the repave and the reconfiguration and with air being so much of a premium, more lines at Texas is kind of a good thing. And because of that dirty air being a thing, pack racing is just not possible. And that's IndyCar's that's IndyCar's entire point.
Yeah, the drivers don't want that to happen again anyway.
So,
and I think if it does showcase pack racing in practices, and when they might get IndyCar to change the package mid-weekend if they really put their foot down and say this is unsafe.
Mark Miles doesn't do that.
Yeah, I don't think the package is actually going to be conducive to that. I think what's going to happen is you're going to get cars that, if they are able to get side by side, the turbulent air is going to be so bad that they're going to lose momentum to a certain extent, and whoever has the better setup on their car or sticks in it long enough can get around that car, and then you're just going to have to get momentum back up, and that might actually put the person who's sort of the chicken in that scenario on the back foot, where they might drop down and then have to regain momentum to catch back up. So
I think there's a happy medium.
So is that basically slowing both cars down and allowing the car behind to catch up.
But it's going to be it's not going to be like the DW12 where you pull out, hit a wall of air because you were able to up on the back. It's going to be like you're going to get in a turbulent air next to that car, and it's going to unsettle your car so much, kind of like what they were dealing with at Phoenix, but on a bigger scale. It's going to unsettle your car to the fact where you're either going to want to get by that person as quickly as possible, or you're going to want to get back in line and sort of like ride around with them and gap yourself until you get that momentum to get past them eventually.
I don't know. It's going to be Texas has a multi-groove.
Yeah,
Texas has multi-lane, and I feel like everyone's going to use as much of those lanes as possible. You're going to see people run high. You're going to see people run low, and it's going to be really interesting to see because I have a feeling there's going to be a few people that are going to try to run as close to the wall as possible. I have a feeling that some of the two of the Andretti cars I think are going to try it. Rossi and Marco. Because the last time we were in this situation, they did it.
Yeah.
It didn't end well for one of them.
No. But
because Rossi ended up binning it, but they're the ones that are going to try it. And because of cleaner being so much at a premium, put as much space between you and the car that's on the bottom lane as possible. And that high lane, especially coming out of 1 and 2, is going to be so important to be on the high lane. But at the same time, being at the bottom lane puts you in a much better position for turns 3 and 4. So
yeah,
at least the first 30 laps will be super entertaining. And any initial laps off of restarts are going to be super fun.
Yes.
So, and Texas the last few years has been an absolute carnage fest. So there's going to be plenty of cautions, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
so
we'll see. I think we'll see.
Obviously, we're not going to know until we get there because no one's done any conclusive testing. I know Fittipaldi did his oval test. No, actually, no, he didn't. No, actually, yeah, he did. He did his oval test at Texas. He didn't do his Indianapolis rookie program, but he did his oval test at Texas.
And he's not going to be racing there, so we're pretty much going in to the unknown. A little bit.
Claiming DeMello is going to be racing Texas.
Ooh, baby.
I believe he's racing Texas. Someone might want to double check on that real quick for me. I think he's racing Texas.
Unless with coin right now.
Let me look at that real quick.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be DeMello for Texas and every race afterward, unless coin can get somebody to fill the spot that Fittipaldi was supposed to run.
Let me see. Yep, he's running. No, yeah, he is. Yep, he's running. Yeah. He's running Texas, Road America. Let me see. He's running Texas, Road America, Iowa, and Toronto, which makes sense because Clement DeMello is Canadian. And then Fittipaldi's running Mid Ohio, Pocono, Gateway, Portland, Sonoma.
Okay.
Unless you can reach Antonio Ferrucci, I think Coin would be stupid to not put Clayton DeMello in that car because you can really grow an in-house product with Clayton DeMello. I don't think he's a bad racer. Again, I think he needs consistency, but look at how Coin was able to sort of cultivate Ed Jones and even Connor Daly to a certain extent to get them to be consistent and somewhat respectable race car drivers, to the point of they got poached by bigger teams. So,
Clayton DeMello has what Ed Jones and Connor Daly doesn't have, and that's money. He's got sponsorship behind him. PaySafe is behind him fully.
Yes.
So, if they can get him in the car more,
his own little shoe line that he does for all those stars out in LA do enough for him too. But I like the kid. I like how he races. I like that he does a good job. I like how consistent
he's clean.
He is.
I watched him at Sonoma last year and was pretty impressed with him too. Even though he got the incident at the start, he pulled down he turned heads. That's what got him, I think, the ride. He turned a lot of heads last year. What do you think, guys? Predictions? Can you predict Texas?
Nope, I'm not. I refuse. Wow. I refuse.
Oh wow.
That's the thing. Texas is a wild card. It's either going to be super crazy or it's going to be recession. And it's I don't want to do that without seeing practice. Like if there's one place you don't want to do it, it's here. Because
well, shoot.
Goes back to Texas and breaks that track like it broke his collarbone. Newgarden.
So Tyler's being brave and saying Newgarden, which makes sense.
And I'm even going to say Pagano gets a top 5 out of this.
Ooh.
I would dispute that. I would dispute that heavily. I don't think Pagano is going to be a factor at all.
I don't know though.
It's a Chevy. It's at an oval, and I think it's going to be more of a strategy race, and to roll the dice on strategies. And
I think I'm going to try reverse jinxing on this, and I'm going to say Scott Dixon.
Your first pick.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do this simply for the fact to see if every race I pick him and he doesn't win, see if I can reverse jinx him to make sure he doesn't win anymore.
So does that mean Scott Dixon is going to be your pick for every race going in?
He's going to be my hilarity pick. But if I've got a gut feeling, if I'm going to go with a gut feeling, I'm probably going to go after. Let me look at the list real quick.
You realize, Clayton.
I'm probably going to go for reality. I'm probably going to go for Kanan, but I'm going to root for Scott Dixon just to jinx him. But I would not be upset if Kanan won.
Okay.
That's a good pick too.
That is good.
Kanan let me down in Indianapolis. Don't let me down now.
I can't wait for the part where somebody you didn't pick wins.
As soon as Scott wins that next race, I'm going to mail you a bag of ghost chips.
Oh, God.
I'm already going to have PTSD.
Actually,
I'm already going to have PTSD from this, dude.
You know what?
I inadvertently took part in the 1 gallon challenge.
Whoa.
I inadvertently took out a gallon of milk for those chips. I am screwed up right now.
Yeah. You should have thrown up immediately after. But maybe the chips helped. I don't know. But
no, my God, no. Dude, I feel like I've got like a milkshake in my stomach. And if I move wrong, it's gonna go bad.
Oh, God. Okay, so
it's gonna go bad.
Tyler, you pick Newgarden.
Gotta lay down. Yeah.
Cameron? Any thoughts?
About the race or
the prediction for Texas?
Prediction for Texas specifically.
Okay. I feel like for Texas, maybe Dixon just for the laughs, but
okay.
You're actually gonna do. I'm gonna be so triggered.
Hey man, Clayton, you didn't say we had to pick different
power. Willpower, and then I feel like maybe even Newgarden.
Okay. Huh.
That's solid.
That is solid.
That's.
There's no real gaps of logic in that decision. Choices.
If Dixon wins again, I'm going to cry. I am
not expecting you to do this.
I had to down a bag of ghost pepper chips simply because I said he hadn't been impressive this season, which he hadn't. And I thought that Ganassi was screwed. Turns out they're not.
No. I mean,
Dixon is like any season. He's just there. You've got to learn. He's been doing this 12 years.
Okay, you think about it.
Scott Dixon has won a race 13 consecutive years he's been at Ganassi. In a row. 13 in a row. A race. A year.
See, I didn't learn that fact.
This year. Yeah.
I didn't learn that fact until after he won Belle Isle. Because they posted a video of his 42 wins, 2003. Okay.
Oh, that's
2004.
right. That's the other thing
Okay.
we got to talk about. Scott Dixon is now third all time on the total IndyCar wins list, tied with Michael Andretti at 42 wins. Second only to Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt.
He is the winningest, most active driver in IndyCar right now.
Yes, he is. That's crazy. But all right,
I think by a wide margin.
Yeah, it's pretty wide margin. Wow.
Okay, so
Nazareth.
Oh yeah,
oh
dude.
god, yeah.
With Pac West,
Mm-hmm.
Bruce McCaw, and no sponsorship, and he was too young to actually spray champagne, even though.
CompuWare.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay.
So I've picked Kanan. Okay, so let's summarize it real quick beforehand.
Right.
I've got Kanan. Parker's got Newgarden.
Mm-hmm.
RACECAR, I think, picked Dixon for the lulls, and then he also said Power.
Yeah, and Newgarden right there with Newgarden right there for the show, basically. If you're gonna do kind of thing.
If you're trying to go for the entire podium.
Yeah.
And so now it's on to Weasel to.
Man, this is again, like you said, Clayton. This is real.
It's
tough.
not something. It's not something you want to do until you've seen practice.
I know.
It really isn't.
It really is tough to say. On one hand, again, Chevys have fast on the super speedways. They were good at Indy. This is one of only 3 races this year where they're using the Indy aero package with the really short, small wings, and the Chevy cars seem to run really good there. Then again, it is Texas. We got a lot of grip. We got a lot of different factors at play.
I am going to throw another thing out here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to throw one driver out here that you have to consider at least, and that is Ed Carpenter.
I was gonna say I'm leaning towards Ed Carpenter because this is a car that suits his driving style to a T. Ed grew up in the IR05 and IR8 era. He's somebody that he can live with a loose, fast race car, and these cars, like Indy, everything that he was loose and fast and just struggling to hang on for dear life, except Ed, Alexander Rossi, and, Will Power, who won it. And I kind of want to go with Ed. He's won Texas before. It's one of his better racetracks.
The 2014 race.
Yeah, he did. I kind of want to go say Ed Carpenter. I'm going to pick Ed Carpenter.
And that's not a bad choice. Now, if this was last year, then I'd be laughing.
Of course.
But this isn't a bad choice because he did good at Phoenix. He obviously did fantastic at Indy. That's not a bad choice.
No, it's not.
No.
And if you had TK, everyone we've picked is fast. That's the problem right now, is that it is a whole bunch of fast people. Gabby Chavez, you can't really rule out because he survived.
No, you can't. He survived last year. He got a really place. And Harding are good on ovals. They get oval, setups. You can't rule out Robert Wickens from showing because he seemingly is good at ovals. He could have won Phoenix. Like he made a terrible car into a top 10 car at Indy.
I think this is going to be the track. If you see Wickens struggle, it's going to be this track.
Okay.
I feel like inversely, I feel like Hinch is coming out with a vengeance for this one.
Oh yeah.
I feel like not just last year, but for Indy.
Yeah. So it's like twice the motivation for him.
And again, you can't rule out Hinch. You can't rule out Graham Rahal. You can't rule out anyone from Andretti. No, not at all. Marco would be like my holy crap full of laughs pick just because he has no fear pretty much for these kind of things. And
Honore's got momentum. Rossi's gonna want momentum.
Yeah.
You can't roll anyone. You can't roll anyone from Penske outside of maybe Pagano.
Yeah, and that's because I would be off, dude.
I would seriously hold off on rolling off Pagano because he could.
Yeah.
He could
turn up the wick and just go. I know. It's tough.
I mean,
this series, this is the thing. I mean, we had this same kind of feeling 2 races where you just many. But when you go to Texas, like you said, it's a joker. It's a wild card. You don't know what's going to happen. until
You've
you
got,
maybe see
obviously,
practice to get an idea.
you've got Bourdais, who's obviously going to be quick.
No. No.
Bourdais
Bourdais
is going to be
scared of the
quick.
big ovals. I don't know, dude.
Okay, he's scared of
but
Indianapolis. Indianapolis and Pocono, I'll give you. He'll be a bit gun shy. I don't think he's going to be that shy at Texas because, I mean,
We'll
he
see.
thrives on that chaos a bit.
We'll see. I mean, I'll deny you that.
And then we're looking down the list. Sato, I wouldn't rule out because he's bonsai.
He was good last year too. Before he make the pass on
The
Texas is wide open.
So is the race
difference I see
a night race or is it going to be a day race?
It's supposed to be day to night, technically. It's supposed to start at sunset and move tonight.
Ooh, man, that's going to be tough.
So
that's going to really throw a monkey wrench. This car is so mechanical dependent. It's going to be tough to try to get a car to handle. Get a handle on the car from day to night and get that transition right.
Well, it's going to depend on the Texas weather up there. So, I actually went to that race in 2016 where it got rained out, and the fact is the humidity is like 80%. It was ridiculous high. The thing is up there, humidity can stay super high or it can drop super low.
Yeah.
And the thing is time temps. I can attest to it living in South Texas right now. Temps are an average of 15 to 20 degrees off of what the actual night are. Like right now, it's still 82 degrees. So if it's 98 degrees up there, you're not having to adjust the car as much as you would say somewhere up north.
Excuse me.
Okay, so here's what the weather's supposed to be.
Okay.
Here's what the weather's supposed to be at Texas. It's supposed to be a high of 99 and a low of 77. So what we're going to see...
Indy.
Yeah, so what we're going to see...
So like 2 in the morning.
So we're going to see a slick racetrack?
Heck yeah.
We're going to see a slick racetrack, but it's going to get better as the race goes on.
Probably.
Whereas Indianapolis was just getting worse.
Yeah. As the race goes on, the track temp's going to get cooler. As the track temp gets cooler, more mechanical grip might be found. And it might produce something at the end. We'll see. Like I said,
this is going to be weird.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing to talk about is going to be the tires. What sort of speed tire Firestone going to bring there? Is it going to be a little bit harder compound out of Indy, the longevity out of the runs, or is it going to be a little bit more grippier to where you're going to be able to drive that car a little bit more mechanical, get a little bit more mechanical grip as everybody's wanting, so you can try and do a pass, try and get around it, offset some of that aero imbalance that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's something else too. Thanks for that, Tyler. Wow.
And that was my main curiosity because at Indy, Ed Carpenter, he pretty much was quick when the track was just hot and somewhat sort of slick, and then when that cloud came over, that's when he lost speed.
Yeah, his car was set up for that.
Well, also lost some track position too in those pit stops where Will Power was banging out 7.5 second pit stops. Power was hitting 8 to 8.5 second pit stops. You're losing too much time at that point in time, and that's where ended up losing that race. And that cloud cover did move in over Indianapolis, over the track for a while, and the temperatures did decrease. But I mean, temp probably dropped 3-4 degrees total. I don't know how much that effect is going to have on the aero side of that. Because honestly, I think they were extracting the maximal amount of mechanical grip they could out of that track. It was the aero that was holding them back.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But how are we good for time, Clayton?
We are at 1 minute 39, so we're pretty spot on with what it was last time.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I mean,
so
we've got Montreal for Formula One next weekend. We've got Texas Saturday night.
Yeah.
Again, there isn't a race that I have to get up super early for, so
that's
awesome.
Good.
And obviously with this, hopefully we figured out a time slot that works. So hopefully, and we're going to be done before 10 p.m. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank God. Yeah.
But yeah, if we can start hitting this where the recording actually comes out like at noon on Monday,
Yeah.
we'll be spot on.
Okay.
But yeah,
Cool.
so we've had Tyler Parker, Weasel, RACECAR in here. For all of those three, I'm Clayton Hardy. This is VRR Unplugged, and we'll see you next week.